5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Welcome to the GHT Overland podcast, where we visit with overland travelers and explorers around the globe, learning from their experiences and enjoying their stories. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lisa. We're from a little city called Washougal in Washington State, known as the entrance to the Columbia River Gorge.
We have a great interview coming up today with Till, who's in Guatemala. So that was super cool to talk to him. What a super energetic, fun guy to talk to with a lot of really good information. So another one you probably want to pull out your pen and pencil for, or pen, whatever you're into. And we've got some really good information in there. But first, we wanted to review a few quick bits of information, if I can get that out of my mouth, on updates that we've got.
So we interrupt our regular programming.
Yes, to bring you updates.
Yes.
Hopefully they're exciting. So we'd love to get some feedback from you, our listeners, and there really has not been a good way to do that. So here we go. overlandpodcast@gmail.com.
That easy?
Yeah, how easy is that?
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I'm a Gmail fan, so nothing fancy. So again, overlandpodcast@gmail.com. Send us your feedback, questions, comments, cries of outrage. I don't know, what else could they send?
Positive comments.
That's awesome. Yeah, so any questions you have or questions you would like us to ask our guests, send them in, and we can take a look at that. It's super important that we're also producing a show that you enjoy and you find value in. Do you agree, Lisa?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I like the interaction that's going on the Instagram.
Yeah, super cool.
Yeah.
We appreciate it. All the positive feedback is good. So the other thing, real quick, we've been playing with an Alexa skill, so I don't know, I think that I'm totally going off memory. I think there's like 20 or so people that have subscribed to it. So for you 20, I hope you also listen to the podcast. Please bear with us. I've been trying out a few different things. Sometimes you'll hear the same little Alexa skill over and over again. There was one week where there was, I think, 3 that would play all at one time. So again, I'd love your feedback on what you would like to hear there. I'm thinking we'll do one a week. So you'll have 1 week to catch it. But if you listen to it every single day, it'll just replay every day. So give us your feedback and let us know what your, how it works for you, or what you like, what you don't like, and we'll modify from there.
So for those who don't know what Alexa skill is,
well, hopefully they know who Alexa is.
well, they might have the other one. They need to have the Alexa, but they might have the other.
Well, Alexa is going to rule the world.
Yeah.
Not really. So there's what's the new Apple one? Apple HomePod, I think. Apple Pod? Apple something. So Apple's got one, Google's got one, Google Home. The only one that I'm currently focused on is Alexa, because it's my belief that that's really the most popular platform that most people are using. Once we perfect that and we know people are enjoying it and they like it, then we can spend the energy to go do the other ones too.
Yeah.
But currently we've got a lot to catch up on.
So how do they, let them know how to activate that?
Push activate.
You know what I mean?
It's a totally fair question. And I'm just being silly. No, I'm just being, okay. So you would just go to your Alexa app on your phone and you would just type in the search function, GHT Overland. I don't even think you need to put podcast, just GHT Overland, and it'll pop up and you can hit the subscribe or whatever they call it. And bada bing, bada boom.
So they can set it like we have it set for in the morning.
Yeah, so like whatever time. So like in our case, we'll say, I've got it programmed where I just say, Alexa, wake up, or Alexa, time to wake up, something close to that. And she kind of goes through a little spiel, turns the lights on and off in the right places, and turns the heat to the right temperature, gives me the traffic, gives me the weather, reads me my reports, and one of our reports is our report, because I like to hear how it sounds. But everybody does their own thing. You could also go to Alexa and say, Alexa, play the GHT Overland podcast, and boom, you get the podcast.
That is way cool.
Because we're high tech.
Super cool.
Yeah. Neat stuff. I love technology. Okay. So we've got the email for listener feedback, overlandpodcast@gmail.com. We covered the Alexa skill. Then the last thing before we jump into our interview with Till is the Northwest Overland Rally in Leavenworth on June 28th through July 1st. We will be there. We will be a, what do they call it?
It's a vendor.
Oh, yeah, a vendor.
But we're just there to meet and greet.
Yeah, we just wanted our own...
Put some names to some faces.
Yeah, we wanted our own little booth to be able to officially say hi, hand out some stickers. We've got some mugs, if you want to pick up a traveler mug, tumbler, whatever you call them. Hopefully we'll have some shirts printed, so if you're into that sort of thing, we'd love to see the support. So we've got that, and I think that's about it. Because I'm super excited to get into this interview. Till was just a blast to talk to.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was a bummer. So his girlfriend, Katrin, who travels with him, was not able to get on the phone just with a technology limitation. But just super fun. Lots of great information. So I say we get into that.
Sounds good. Let's roll Till.
Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here it comes.
Ignition. Liftoff.
Welcome to the GHT Overland Podcast, where we visit with overland travelers and explorers around the globe, learning from their experiences and enjoying their stories. I'm Chris.
And I'm Lisa. We are from a little city called Washougal in Washington State, known as the entrance to the Columbia River Gorge. Today's featured guest is Till Kleinert. Till is from Germany and is currently in Guatemala with his girlfriend Katrin. They have been overlanding for just over a year and a half.
Yep, and Till and Katrin started their trip in Halifax, Canada. They have been overlanding through the Americas down through South America. They've got another 1 to 2 years planned in their overland exploration. So, without further ado, welcome to the podcast, Till.
Yeah, thanks too for this opportunity. It's nice to be on the show.
So thanks for joining us this morning from Guatemala. So Till, fill us in on any blanks on that intro and give us a little glimpse into your backgrounds.
Yeah, I'm 34. My girlfriend's 31, and we've not really planned this trip. There was kind of a point where it just more or less started, and the initial plan was to overland for 1 or 2 years, and now it's already more than 1.5, and it's gonna be 1 or 2 years more, maybe. We don't know that. We planned just the next day, and it's pretty cool and very exciting experience. So I can recommend to do that for anyone.
Now, as we learned in your intro, you guys have been traveling for just over a year and a half. Is this your first major overland trip?
Yeah, it's our first major trip. We had some smaller trips before, about 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month. But this is our first trip with a duration of more than 1 month. And we're really enjoying it. It's super different from the shorter trips.
Once you decided this was a trip you were going to tackle, how long was it before you guys were ready to
we never really planned such a trip. It was I built the car for or I fitted it out for shorter trips, and there was a moment when Katrin was done with her studies, and I was a bit exhausted of my job at home, and we said, okay, this is the time to do it. We have no kids, and if we don't do it now, we will do it never again. And it was just maybe like 6 or 9 months before we left that this idea came up, and then we just left.
Okay, and tell us about your current vehicle that you're using.
We use a LandCruiser J7. It's pretty much an African model from LandCruiser. You don't really have it in North America. It's pretty common in Europe as an overland vehicle. And I've fully converted it in about 3 years and a few thousand hours maybe. I converted it to a pop-up camper. And we have a little kitchen inside, and we can sleep in there. And it's kind of a smaller vehicle. But it's super reliable, and the gas mileage is not bad, and it's really common for Europeans because we have these smaller overland vehicles mostly, and not these huge trucks.
Gotcha. Very good.
So I know that when we travel, there's always that one thing that I value the most. So either on or in your vehicle, what can you recommend?
That's a pretty tough question. There's a lot of things that we really love. We love to have a fridge. I would never go without a fridge because we mostly cook ourselves. So to cool things down is a nice option. The other thing is a really comfortable bed, because I mean you sleep like 8 to 10 hours a day, and it's in my opinion it's you have to have a nice bed, a nice mattress. We have a Swiss made special mattress, and it's perfect until now. I rather sleep in the vehicle than in any hostel or hotel. And maybe the third thing is like a heater. We spent a lot of time in winter and had temperatures until like minus 30 degrees Celsius. And having a heater is really a nice thing if you want to sit inside for a few hours and not freeze to death, right?
Wow. Okay. What refrigerator are you guys using?
We have an Angle fridge. I think for serious overlanders, there are only two opinions: Angle and Waco. It's pretty much the same. We had the Angle in Australia, and I was very impressed, and so we bought an Angle.
Okay. Do you know what mattress you guys use?
It's called Fanello. It's this is a Swiss company, and they in the past they built natural beds, like ecological beds, and now they build mattresses. And this is like you have a foam mattress, but with wood inside. So it's kind of a special design they came up with. It's not cheap, but you're looking at a mattress that's only like 3 or 4 inch high and gives you the same comfort like at home.
Terrific. And then the heater, what are you using for the heater?
A standard Abus Becher air-to-air heater. Needs pretty much no fuel, no energy, and you can let it run all night if you have enough battery capacity.
Okay, wonderful. So anything that you guys originally packed with you that you never used and ended up removing or are about to remove?
There are a few things that we decided to send back home after, let's say, 2 or 3 months. Like we had a bigger table with us that we sent home, and a few smaller electronic devices. But the nice thing was we did a lot of shorter trips before with the car to like Iceland, Tunisia, Romania, and stuff like that. And at the end of of these smaller trips, we narrowed down what we didn't need, what we didn't use at that time, and and just didn't pack that for the bigger trip. So our selection in the car was still pretty perfect at that time.
Okay, great. So what are your 2 or 3 top destinations that you've been to that you've really enjoyed the most, and what really made them super special to you?
Yeah, that's hard. That's a hard one. It's
I know.
Like every minute and every destination is special. But I narrowed it down to maybe Newfoundland because it wasn't what we respected. If you ask someone in Germany or Europe where Newfoundland is, you wouldn't get an answer. Maybe at the North Pole or somewhere. And it's this small Canadian island that's totally underrated in my opinion. There are pretty much no foreign tourists. There are only a few Canadian tourists, and you have everything. You have mountains, you have forests, sea. Nice temperatures, snow in the winter, all packed to this little island. So this was very impressive. We unfortunately only spent 3 weeks there, and I think I can just spend a year in Newfoundland. The second thing was Yukon and the Northwest Territories, including stuff like the Dempster Highway in Inuvik. Because we did all this stretch in October, so pretty much in winter. It was all snow covered. All roads were white and icy, and it was totally a lonely place without any tourists. On the Dempster Highway, we saw maybe like 4 or 5 trucks a day, and that was it. So this is a very impressive thing. These openly wide and huge territory without anything in it. No animals, or a few animals, but no people. And this was very impressive for a few weeks. And the third thing I want to come up with is maybe the Copper Canyon in Mexico, because there are a lot of canyons we visited, but the Copper Canyon, most people do it, or pretty much anyone does it by train, and we did it by car, and it's a very nice off-road ride. There are these small dirt roads all through the canyon, and it's a huge canyon land. And same thing like in the Yukon territories, there's pretty much no one in there, and you can drive for hours without seeing a car or a human being, and it's sometimes it was a bit sketchy. I must admit that, but in total it was a really cool experience.
And if I understand right, you guys are doing most of your traveling as much like off-road or off the beaten path as possible. Is that right?
We try to drive as many dirt stuff as we can. But we wouldn't go like 100 kilometers of dirt road if there's like a 50 kilometer like paved stretch, and there is nothing special to see. So we don't drive just dirt to drive dirt. There must be something where we want to go.
And in the Copper Canyon, you said there was points where it was a little sketchy. How was it that it was a little questionable for you?
You see this whole drug thing. It's very clear. There are pickups with people with weapons and machine guns everywhere. I think as a tourist you're totally safe because it's none of their business. But especially as a European, it's an experience to see how how open it is, how clear it is that there's drug dealing going on, and that the military stays out of these smaller towns. So if you're in the town, your security are the drug people and not the officials. But they care for you. It's not a problem. It's really not a problem. It sounds more weird than it really is. You get used to it, but you have to get used to it. So that's the thing.
Okay, that's terrific.
So the kitchen has always been my favorite area, enjoying food and variety. So what does your average meal setup consist of?
Our average meal setup is like we only have a stainless steel sink with a hand pump for water. That's pretty much it, and we have two smaller stoves, a gas stove, like a Coleman stove maybe, and alcohol stove, like a marine stove. We usually cook outside. We maybe cooked inside 5 or 6 times for the whole trip. We have an outside foldable table at the car, at the side of the car, and that's where we cook. And we took everything out of the car, cook outside, and then eat outside or inside depending on the weather. That's pretty much our setup. The fridge, and we try to cook by ourselves as often as we can, especially in North America, because restaurants are not really cheap, and we don't want to enjoy fast food every day. Here in Mexico and Guatemala, we usually go to a Commodore, like it's called over here, maybe once a day or every second day, and cook in the evening. But in North America, we cook pretty much every day.
Okay, and like temperatures right now are pretty good for you, right?
Oh yeah, it's the temperature over here is like 20 degrees Celsius, 25 degrees Celsius, and in the night it's going down to maybe like 10 or 15, so perfect for sleeping.
Oh wow, yeah, that is perfect. Okay.
Any favorite recipes you guys have created?
Nothing special. We like to make like noodles, potatoes. But what we really love is we have a Dutch oven, like a camp oven, a smaller one, a 10 inch. And everything we make in there is tastes super cool. Everything's better with a Dutch oven. And we cook soups and stews in there, and we bake bread, cakes, or pizza in there. And it's a nice opportunity for us because as Germans, we always miss our bread. And so like every week or every 2 weeks, we bake a bunch of breads in the Dutch oven.
And educate me on pizza. What is that?
It's just like a German rye bread we do. So it's kind of a lot more heavy and a lot harder than the usual bread you have in North America or even down here.
Okay, very good. So provisions, how do you do your planning for food, like minimum supplies that you carry with you, and any tips you have for doing that shopping in different countries as you've gone through your trip?
We actually the most of our storage space is for food, and because we love to eat and we eat much, and we don't really plan in advance. We always have stuff like noodles, tomato sauce, maybe a few dry sausages or so for emergencies. Let's call it an emergency. But mostly we love to discover the supermarkets in different countries. So we just go into a supermarket, or here in Central America on the local market, look what do they have, how is the price, and then decide, okay, what can we do with it? So let's say tomatoes are cheap and avocados are cheap. So yeah, let's try something out of it. But we never go into the supermarket and say, okay, we want to have this or that, because sometimes it could be pretty hard to get stuff like that. In North America, it's not a problem. It's more a problem of the price. But down here, it's better to take what you get and not to to think about it in advance.
Okay, those are really good tips. And then how do you do your laundry on the road?
We don't do laundry so often, like maybe once or twice a month. And we actually never had a problem. In North America, there are so many self-laundries with like coin laundries you can go in. And here in North America, they make laundry for you, and it's like $4 or $5, including drying. And you just give it away and pick it up like 5 or 6 hours later. And we mostly do that if we have a stop for 2 or 3 days in one location. And then we give away the laundry and pick it up next day or in the evening. So until now, we never had a problem with that.
So hygiene, do you guys have a shower setup of some kind? Or what's your preferred method?
No, we have no shower, no toilet. This is kind of a problem of these kind of small cars. A shower, we never missed a shower. There are a lot of opportunities to shower. We can use one of our water bottles to shower with, but we don't use that very often. In North America, we took a shower at, like, let's say at truck stops or at the local swimming pool, at the public pools. Here in Mexico or Guatemala, it's mostly a cold shower, and every campground and every hostel has a shower, so you can just pop in and say, "Can I shower?" And then you give him $1 or $2, and mostly it's a cold shower. But you get used to it, and if the temperature is high, that's not really a problem. And a toilet, that maybe would be a thing if we someday have a bigger car. We would maybe add a toilet. In North America, that never was a problem. There's always a bus around where you can go to. Here in Central America, it's getting a bit more packed with people, so it's getting harder to find toilets, but it's still possible. We have like a backup setup, an emergency setup with a plastic sack we can go to. But that's pretty much it. But we never used it until now.
Okay, very good. So tell us about your number one biggest challenge you've had to overcome that you just didn't know how you guys were going to get out of it.
So far we never had a situation where where there was no solution. We of course got stuck sometimes, but that was pretty much on purpose. So I mean, you know that before you go off road that it's possible you get stuck. But maybe the biggest decision was we came in Canada in October. We came up the Cashier Highway to Watson Lake. That's where you go to. Let's say that's the junction on the Alaska Highway where you have to decide if you go to Alaska, Inuvik, or you go back south. And at this time, the whole Cashier Highway was covered in snow, and we are going with empty tires, with mud tires. So these are not really winter-proof tires. And we stood there in Watson Lake and had to decide, okay, do we go back now, or do we drive up to Inuvik all the way the next 2 or 3 weeks, all on snow? Do we take the risk and do it, or do we turn around?
I hope you captured all the details Till laid out. What a fun talk, and so full of life and energy. Now, this episode of the GHT Overland podcast with Till is our longer format interview, so we split these into 2 episodes for your downloading pleasure. Don't worry, new episodes are released each Thursday. In the next episode, Till finishes telling us if they decided to move forward, going to Inuvik, risking snow and ice, or travel back to Watson Lake. Be sure to visit Till and Katrin at Hadahu on Facebook and YouTube, or Hadahu_Troopy on Instagram. It's a good idea to visit the show notes page on our website at ghteoverland.com. Click on podcast, then select the Till and Katrin episode. All the details and links in this episode are there for you. Now, before you race off, it would mean the world to us, and I mean the entire globe, if you'd share the podcast, subscribe, rate, and review. Give GHT Overland some love so we can reach as many overlanders as possible, passing on priceless experience, knowledge, and stories of overlanders doing good in the world. Thank you, and we will see you next Thursday over on part 2. What are you waiting for? Go give us some podcast love with a subscribe, rate, and review. Bye.